Shalom. My name is Adam, and I welcome you to the parable of the vineyard. Every day, Yahweh is waking up a remnant, a group of people who are coming out of deceptions, realizing our walk is to consist of faith and obedience to His righteous commands. Each week, we read through and examine a portion of the Torah, allowing the Spirit of the Most High to guide, teach, and open our eyes and ears to the wondrous matters out of His law. Join us as we seek to be refined by His Word, preparing ourselves for the return of our King of Kings, being faithful and obedient, walking in His way, truth, and life. Hey, Shabbat Shalom, and welcome back, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard YouTube live stream. My name is Adam, your host, and I welcome you to our Torah portion. This is the second to last one of this Torah portion cycle. So, with that being said, this is week 53, Haazinu. This is the Song of Moses, the other Song of Moses. Many months ago, during Exodus 15, we did the first Song of Moses. Now, this is the other Song of Moses, which, is loaded with prophecy and I guess we'll just see tonight what it's filled with. So, glad you can join us. Our main study was last night with Yom Teruah. It is still Yom Teruah. Well, technically it's nighttime, so it just ended. But nevertheless, let's blow some shofars. Let's make some noise. Even if you celebrated Yom Teruah last month or a couple days ago, let's join in together with some blowing of the shofars, right? Let's do it together here. Let's try. Let's go with the ram's horn first for you ram's horn fans. All right. Now let's go with the kudu. Hallelujah. Happy Feast of Trumpets, my brethren. Brethren and sistren. Is that right? Brethren and sistren. All right, let's start with prayer. Heavenly Father, Yahweh, we come before you and bless you in Yahusha's name. And we just love you, Abba. And we just want to show it by our lips and our actions, Father. We thank you for opening our eyes in these last days to your truth and your whole truth, Father, knowing that none of us can come back to you but by the blood of Messiah, Yahushua, your Son, whom you sent for us, Father, who died for us while we were yet sinners. And we thank you, Father. We can't thank you enough. We want to repay our love for you, Father, with our devotion to you, being whole burnt offerings, being a living sacrifice unto you, Father, that our whole lives would be offered up to you and to your service. We love you. We thank you. Thank you so much for your Shabbats, which are such a delight. And thank you for Yom Teruah, Father, the day of shouts, an amazing day. We love you and bless you in Yahushua's name. Amen. Let's do a hallelujah on 3. Let's look up to the Shamayim, the heavens, and on 3 we'll do a nice big hallelujah. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3. Hallelujah! All right, you're probably awake now. All right, let's get to this study. It's a short Torah portion. It's one chapter. But we got a lot to go over. This might be a 2-hour Torah portion because there's just so much to unpack in this awesome Torah portion. So let's get to it, and we are going to read. What I should do first is, because I'm going to be stopping so many times throughout this to kind of dig into it, I think maybe we should just read the whole thing and then go back and dissect it. So let's do that. Deuteronomy chapter 32, we're going to be reading from the Sefer version. Give ear, O heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My doctrine, remember, this is actually a song, because here in verse 30 it says, Moshe spoke in all the ears of the assembly of Yisrael the words of the song until they are ended. So verse 2, my doctrine shall drop as the rain, my speech shall distill as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass. Because I will publish the name of Yahweh. Ascribe ye greatness unto our Elohim. He is the rock. His work is perfect, for all his ways are judgment, right ruling. An El of truth and without iniquity. Just and right is he. They have corrupted themselves. Their spot is not the spot of his children. They are a perverse and crooked generation. Do you thus requite Yahweh, O foolish people and unwise? Is not he your father that has bought you? Has he not made you and established you? Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask your father, and he will show you. Your elders, and they will tell you. When Elyon divided the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of men, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of, it says here Yasharel, but we're going to see that is actually different in many other translations. For Yahweh's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. He found him in a desert land, and in the waste howling wilderness he led him about. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. As an eagle stirs up her nest, flutters over her young, spreads abroad her wings, takes them, bears them on her wings, so Yahweh alone did lead him, and there was no strange El with him. He made him to ride on the high places of the earth, that he might eat the increase of the fields, and he made him to suck the honey out of the rock, and oil out of the flinty rock. Butter of kine, milk of sheep, with fat of lambs and rams of the breed of Bashan, and goats with the fat of kidneys of wheat. And you did drink the pure blood of the grape. But Yeshurun waxed fat, and kicked. You are waxen fat, you are grown thick, you are covered with fatness. Then he forsook Eloah, which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his Yeshua. They provoked him to jealousy with strange Elohim. With abominations provoked they him to anger. They sacrificed unto Shedim, that's devils, not to Elohai, to Elohim who they knew not, to new Elohim that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not. Of the rock that begat you, you are unmindful, and have forgotten El that formed you. And when Yahweh saw it, he abhorred them, because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be, for they are a very froward generation, children in whom is no belief. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not El. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation, for a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn unto the lowest Sheol, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. I will heap mischiefs upon them. I will spend my arrows upon them. They shall be burnt with hunger, and devoured with burning heat, and with bitter destruction. I will also send the teeth of beasts upon them, with the poison of serpents of the dust. The sword without, and terror within, shall destroy both the young man and the virgin. The suckling also, with the man of gray hairs. I said, I would scatter them into corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy, lest their adversaries should behave themselves strangely, and lest they should say, Our hand is high, and Yahweh has not done all this. For they are a nation void of counsel, neither is there any understanding in them. Oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would consider their latter end. How should one chase 1,000, and two put 10,000 to flight, except their rock had sold them, and Yahweh had shut them up? For their rock is not as our rock, even our enemies themselves being judges. For their vine is of the vine of Sodom, and of the fields of Amorah. Their grapes are grapes of gall, their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the poison of dragons, and the cruel venom of asps. Is not this laid up in store with me, and sealed up among my treasures? To me belongs vengeance and recompense. Their foot shall slide in due time. For the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things that shall come upon them make haste. For Yahweh shall judge his people, and sigh for his servants, when he sees that their power is gone, and there is none shut up or left. And he shall say, Where are their Elohim, their rock in whom they trusted, which did eat the fat of their sacrifices, and drank the wine of their drink offerings? Let them rise up and help you, and be your protection. See now that I, even I, am he, and there is no Elohim with me. I kill, and I make alive. I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven and say, I live forever. If I whet my glittering sword and my hand take hold on judgment, I will render vengeance to my enemies and will reward them that hate me. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, and that with the blood of the slain and of the captives from the beginning of the revenges upon the enemy. Rejoice, O ye nations, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants and will render vengeance to his adversaries and will be merciful unto his land and to his people. And so that's the end of the song. So we can read the rest here in just a moment, but let's go back now and let's kind of break this song down and see what is actually going on here. So let's start first with verse 1 through 2. It says, Give ear, O you heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. Actually, let me pause for a second. There's a decent-sized debate as to, in Revelation 15, when the people get victory over the beast and over his mark and his name and his image, and they sing the song of Moses and the song of the Lamb. And so there's a debate. They're like, hey, is it Deuteronomy 32, the song of Moses, or is it Exodus 15? A lot of people will take the subtitles that Bible makers will kind of put, subcategories, like subtitles, like, they called Exodus 15 the Song of the Sea, or the Song of Moses and Miriam and whatnot, and usually they'll use that as kind of evidence. But anyways, if you look at Exodus 15, it's really all about the destruction of the oppressive Pharaoh and the salvation and deliverance of his people, and then in the promise of bringing them into the holy the holy place, the basically New Jerusalem, right? And so that's kind of like, that's pretty fitting, where this whole song, like 95% of it is like condemnation, like, hey, you're gonna fall away, you're this and you're that. At the end, it's like, okay, cool. There's a little bit of glimmer of hope there at the end, but the song as a whole is just like, hey, this is a song that's gonna let you know that I'm gonna condemn you because you're gonna fall away from my Torah, right? So, just for me personally, I think Exodus 15 fits a little more. But if you think it's Deuteronomy 32, then praise Yah. Well, I guess we'll find out. Well, hopefully we'll be worthy enough to find out what song that is, right? That's what we're shooting for, at least. So let's break it down. So Deuteronomy 32, Give ear, O you heavens, and I will speak, O earth, the words of my mouth. So what we're about to talk about is the words of his mouth. My doctrine shall drop as the rain, right? My speech shall distill as the dew, as upon the small. As the small rain upon the tender herb, and the showers upon the grass. And so, we have to realize that, like, rain coming down, water is a symbol of his teaching, his doctrine. And so a lot of times when we see, like, especially the book of Isaiah, it's pretty cryptic. At least it seems like it. It's talking about, talking about the desert land, the wasteland, or, the dry land. In this dry land, in this desert, only thorns and thistles come up, no fruit trees. Well, it's talking about how if Yahweh withholds the rain, and it's not just talking about physical rain, so you can't eat food, but he can also withhold his doctrine, withhold his teaching, withhold his spirit upon people for learning and understanding doctrine. So I want to, with that understanding, there's many keys in the Bible to understand, in the scriptures, to understanding other scriptures. Like, for example, Proverbs 6:23 says, the Torah is light. Like, it's not one of many lights. It's literally the light. So when you look at through scripture and it's talking about the light, and if there is no light in them, like, what does that mean? Okay, there's no Torah in them, there's no instruction in them. Messiah Yahusha, we talked about this before, the most famous passage on earth, John 3:16, right? Almost everybody knows that, but most people don't know verses 17 through 22, which is a parable about keeping the Torah. But if you don't know what the term light is, then you have no idea what he's talking about. I'll just show you for a quick example. I don't want to get off on a huge tangent on that. But let's go to John 3. So right after John 3:16, right? For Elohim so loved the world. We know that. So let's keep going. Verse 19, and this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light because their deeds were evil. Doesn't that make sense that that's what he's talking about? It's the Torah. For everyone that does evil hates the light. Everyone that does evil hates the Torah, right? Because the Torah says don't do this. And they're like, well, I don't care. I want to do what I want to do. Neither comes to the light lest his deeds should be reproved, but he that does the truth comes to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in Elohim. So that's a parable that you have to understand first and foremost, that the light is Torah. So point is, when we look at this doctrine dropping as the rain and speech distilling as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender herb and the showers upon the grass. So what's he even talking about here? So we know that in earlier in springtime he has the light rains, because most of the spring plants are just small and tender. They can't take the heavy beating rains, right? It'll kill them. Much like in our walk, a lot of times we have to start somewhere, and as we grow, so when we first start, he'll give us the light rain, right? And as we continue and grow and grow and grow, then he'll shower us with more and more and more understanding, right? So heavier rains, just like now it says small rain upon the tender herb and showers upon the grass, right? Even like wheat. Wheat is a grass type of plant, right? So as the wheat grows up, and it gets strong, its roots start spreading out, giving it a stronger base. The stalk, right, is stronger. It can handle the winds. It can handle all these things. There's so much wisdom to be found in gardening, right, in plants that he made. So let's take this understanding and interpreting some other scriptures. It's kind of fun. So first off, he says right here that he gives knowledge to the farmer. Isaiah 28:24-29. Does the plowman plow all day to sow? Does he open and break the clods of his ground? So he just till it up, right? When he has made plain the face thereof, does he not cast abroad the fitches and scatter the cumin and cast in the principal wheat and the appointed barley and the rye in their place? Right? So he's basically saying the farmer knows what to do. Why? For his Elohim does instruct him to discretion and does teach him. And you'll see here, there's going to be a parallel with gardening, with just knowledge. For the fitches are not threshed with a threshing instrument, neither is a cartwheel turned about upon the cumin, but the fitches are beaten out with a staff, and the cumin with a rod. Bread corn is bruised, because he will not ever be threshing it, nor break it with the wheel of his cart, nor bruise it with his horsemen. This also comes forth from Yahweh Sabaoth, which is wonderful in counsel and excellent in working. So basically, he's just, if you didn't catch that, what he's saying here is that there's wisdom to be found in farming. Period. And you will be able to relate a lot of those lessons found in the scriptures. So they're like parables. Psalm 72:1-6. Give the king thy judgments, O Elohim, and thy righteousness unto the king's son. He shall judge thy people with righteousness, and thy poor with judgment. The mountains shall bring peace to the people, and the little hills by righteousness. He shall judge the poor of the people. He shall save the children of the needy, and shall break in pieces the oppressor. They shall fear thee long, as the sun and the moon endure throughout all generations. He shall come down like rain upon the mown grass, as showers that water the earth. And that's truly, this was a foreshadow of Messiah. And, while they had the Torah, they had a lot of bad teaching surrounding the Torah, and they misused it. So Messiah came and taught the true doctrine, right? The true rain from heaven, the true bread from heaven. Let's take a look at... again, taking into consideration that his doctrine drops as the rain. And I'm here to tell you that after the early apostles died off and the Catholic Church, Rome took over and basically killed off all the believers, all the true believers, and killed off Sabbath keepers over the Dark Ages, right? Like he withheld his reign. It was like barren. It's been like a desert wasteland for centuries. Sure, there's been a remnant, but in general... Right, there's been a plant here and a plant there, but overall, it's just like a desert, right? There's like one plant here and maybe one plant over there, Isaiah 35, the wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. Who's ever seen a desert, right? It's pretty barren compared to like a grassy area like here in Missouri, right? It's just everything's green. Even in wintertime, it's like you can still see the grass. It's like almost green, right? Anyways, but point being, compare that with a desert, it's like just barren, I almost forgot what that looked like. I took a I've taken a couple road trips to California in the last couple years, and I like driving. So, but yeah, just driving through the desert, you're just like, wow. Yeah, no wonder like hardly anybody lives out here because it's just like barren, you know. Anyways, so and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice, even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given to it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of Yahweh and the excellency of our Elohim. Strengthen ye the weak hands, and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong and fear not. Behold, your Elohim will come with vengeance, even Elohim with a recompense. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as an hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out. And this is what he's talking about here. His doctrine shall drop as the rain, right? For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert, and the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water. In the habitation of dragons, where each lay, shall be grass with reeds and rushes, and a highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, but it shall be for those, the wayfaring men, though fools, shall not err therein. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. And the ransom of Yahweh shall return, and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. So we are right now in a almost mirror time frame as the time of the apostles. Right? It was the land was scarcely, there were some faithful people there. We saw Zechariah and his wife, and John the Baptist, and there were some faithful people. But in general, they were more interested in the commandments of men. So Messiah came, Yahusha, right, and he poured forth the living waters, right, just gushing out. And that's this is prophesying him right here, right? Be strong, and behold, your Elohim will come with vengeance, even with recompense. He will come and save you. First of all, first he comes to save, then he comes with the vengeance and recompense. But after he came, the eyes of the blind were opened, the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped, right? And so we saw that for a few generations, and then as it was prophesied to happen, that was all kind of cut off. And the land became, or the people became barren again, it became deserts again. Up until this last time, where Abba is showering down his truth, his ruach, his spirit, his true doctrine. There's no reason that you're sitting here listening to me talk about the Torah unless Yahweh opened your eyes and your ears. There's no reason I'm even sitting here talking about the Torah unless he opened our eyes and ears and gave us this rain from heaven, his doctrine raining down upon us, to even give us the desire to want to search this out, right? And in a world, and this technology era, and an era full of distractions and whatnot, it's a miracle from him that we're even searching this out, right? And so I'm here to tell you that I believe he's raining down from heaven once again. Isaiah 55, Ho, everyone that thirsts, come ye to the waters, and he that has no money, come, buy and eat. Yeah, come buy wine and milk without money, without price. Wherefore do you spend your money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which satisfies not? Hearken diligently unto me, and eat ye that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness. Incline your ear and come to me, and your soul shall live, and I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. Praise Yah. So just skip down here a little bit. For as the rain comes down, and the snow from heaven, and returns not thither, but waters the earth, and makes it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goes forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereunto I sent it. So, hallelujah. This whole world has been a desert wasteland, and he's showering it again. All right, and right now, verse 13, instead of the thorn shall come up the fir tree, instead of the briar shall come up the myrtle tree, and that shall be to Yahweh for a name and for an everlasting sign that shall not be cut off. So people are likened to plants, right? Messiah says, I am the vine, you are the branches. Without me, you cannot bear fruit. If you abide in me, you will bear much fruit. If you keep my commandments, all these kind of things. Psalm 1:1-3 tells us that the keeping of the Torah is the fruit, which makes us like a tree bearing fruit. So, we know that briars, right, and thorns, these are useless plants tossed into the fire. But a fir tree, a myrtle tree, fruit trees, these are trees of use, right, of good use. I was going to pass that up. Let's see. So let's in thinking about the rain. Let's take another look at the parable of the seeds, the sower. The same day went Yahusha out of the house and sat by the seaside, and a great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow, and when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came up and devoured them. Some fell upon stony places, where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, because they had no root, and they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But other fell into good ground, and brought forth fruit. Some 100-fold, some 60-fold, and some 30-fold. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. I'm going to skip down here. He's basically saying that he teaches in parables only so that only certain people would understand them. And it's hidden by people that don't have a pure heart. That's why he says this is very, very key, that no matter how we differ, is Psalm 29:5 or 25:9? 25:9. What's this one? 25:9. The meek will he guide in judgment, right? And the meek or the humble will he teach his way. So if people aren't meek or humble, he's not going to let them see that parable. It won't do it. Okay, so we'll keep it here. Now, verse 18. Hear you therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and understands it not, then comes the wicked one and catches away that which is sown in his heart. This is he which received seed by the wayside. But he that received the seed into stony places, the same is he that hears the word, and anon with joy receives it. It has not root in himself, but endures for a while. But when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, by and by he is offended. Listen, I have seen this seed time and time again. Especially being online, you see a lot of comments and emails and stuff, and people will comment like, "Oh wow, this is amazing," and this is the truth, and blah blah blah, And then the moment like something happens or they get persecuted, and it's just like, oh, ooh. Yeah, I don't know about this. I'm just going to go back to what I was doing. I think y'all are crazy. See ya. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen that. It's typically the loudest people are like that, right? They're like, oh, yeah, and then like, gone. And I know some people that endured for a while, maybe even a couple of years. And then persecution came, and the road got tough, hard. And they're like, they got offended, and they're like, this ain't for me. This can't be the truth. I gotta find something easier. If it was the truth, it's gotta be easier. Something. I mean, who knows what the mentality is? But I mean, this is happening left and right. I mean, we are seeing. I'm telling you. We'll talk a little bit about this, but I'm telling you, brothers and sisters. Whether the September 23rd, 2017 sign was a sign in the heavens for the birth of a generation. People sprung up. Plants started springing up. Right? And after a while, the fruit started showing. Some were bearing fruit, and some were not bearing fruit. Right? Some got offended, and they're like, I'm out of here. Verse 22, and he also that received seed among the thorns is he that hears the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becomes unfruitful. Right? People that they're like, I can't get rid of the worldly stuff. Or maybe they get rid of it for a while, and they're like, I miss this, I miss that, and it's okay if I, mix it up and, whatever. And they're like, and they just fall away. It's like, yeah, I was just like, okay, I'm going to close your eyes. You're out. This is a selection process. I'm here to tell you. He wants true people in New Jerusalem, and I love him for that. I do, because, if we're worthy enough to get in, you know that everybody in there went through it, passed through the tests. These are true people. There's no fakers going to get in there. But he that receives seed into the good ground is he that hears the word and understands it, which also bears fruit and brings forth some 100-fold, 60, and some 30. Praise Yah. Here, Joel 2, 21 through 24. Fear not, O land, be glad and rejoice, for Yahweh will do great things. Be not afraid, ye beasts of the field, for the pastures of the wilderness do spring. For the tree bears her fruit, the fig tree and the vine do yield their strength. Be glad then, ye children of Zion, and rejoice in Yahweh your Elohim, for he has given you the former rain moderately, right? Remember that early spring rain? And he will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain, and the latter rain in the first month. So he's going to bring it down. And the floor shall be full of wheat, and the vat shall overflow with wine and oil, right? All the things. So, we've got, of course, wheat being that grass type plant. We have wine coming from the vine and oil coming from the tree. Olives being a type of a fruit tree, if you will. So you have it all there. So when the showers come down, the beneficial plants start springing up, because really only thorns and briars and unuseful plants, in the desert. I'm sure there's some stuff that you can use, but in general, for the true service of man, that those kind of things don't pop up in the desert, right? They pop up in fruitful areas where there's lots of rain and lots of sunshine. Isaiah 45, 7 through 8. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, Yahweh, do all these things. Drop down, ye heavens, from above, and let the skies pour down righteousness, right? That his doctrine comes down as the rain. Again, just in case you were like, what are we even talking about here? We're still comparing Deuteronomy 32. My doctrine shall drop as the rain. It's just how it unlocks so many passages. And let the skies pour down righteousness, and let the earth open, and let them bring forth salvation, and let righteousness spring up together. I, Yahweh, have created it. Psalm 1, 1 through 3 clearly defines what the fruit man is supposed to bring forth, and woman. Blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the way of the sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the Torah of Yahweh, and in his Torah does he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of waters, that brings forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he does shall prosper. Straight up, this is the definition. Remember how we were talking earlier, how certain scriptures define other scriptures? So like all over the place, it's like fruit. Okay, well, what's the fruit? What is the fruit? Right here. Straight up. This is it. The person that delights in the Torah, the person that meditates in it day and night. Hosea 6, 1 through 4. Come, let us return unto Yahweh, for he has torn, and he will heal us. He has smitten, and he will bind us up. After 2 days he will revive us, and in the third day he will raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. Then we shall know. If we follow on to know Yahweh, his going forth is prepared as the morning, and he shall come unto us as the rain, as the latter and former rain unto the earth. Hosea 6:10. We have seen a horrible thing in the house of Israel. There is whoredom in Ephraim. Israel is defiled. I don't know why I put verse 10 there. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Isaiah 61:3. To appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of Yahweh, that he might be glorified. So he literally plants us. Remember, the seed is the word. It gets planted on us. And depending on how we mature that, how we walk in this walk, depending on what we meditate on, what we do, the fruit of our lips, that determines what kind of plant we are. We either become a briar or a thorn or a tare. Remember the wheat and tares? Look up the difference between wheat and tares. It's really interesting. When wheat and tares come up together, they look very similar, except for when the fruit starts bearing. The wheat, of course, starts producing the wheat berries, and it becomes it makes it heavy, so it kind of bows down, it bows over. It's like kind of humbles itself, right? It's like a sign of humbling. The tares, since it has no fruit, Stand straight up, tall and proud. It's how you can always pick out how you always pick out a tare from the wheat. Tall, proud, no fruit. So Isaiah 61:11, for as the earth brings forth her bud, and as the garden causes the things that are sown in it to spring forth. So he's saying this is a parable. So like how the earth, has its trees and its plants. So just like that, so Yahweh will cause righteousness and praise to spring forth before all the nations. And it is happening right now. That's what this movement is. It's from Yah. Now, here's something really interesting. Remember I was telling you the Revelation 12 sign? That was I believe was the spiritual birth in the heavens of this generation. While some people turned to the Torah and started bearing fruit long before, the floodgates were open for this generation in September 23rd, 2017. As of yesterday, it's exactly 4 years. Now listen to how this gets interesting and how the plants are starting to be separated now. That's why you see a lot of people are coming into this, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, a lot of people are just kind of falling away. You're going to see the parable of the sower open up right before your eyes. Check this out. Leviticus 19:23-25, and when you shall come into the land, and shall have planted all manner of trees for food. Now remember, Yahweh likened us being trees of righteousness, and how things that are sown in the earth to spring forth, so Yahweh will cause righteousness and praise to spring forth before all the nations. So it's a parable. So check this out. This is a parable too. So when you come into the land and shall have planted all manner of trees for food, remember the sower, the parable of the sower, then you shall count the fruit thereof as uncircumcised. 3 years shall it be as uncircumcised unto you, it shall not be eaten of. So Yahweh, so if we are trees bearing fruit, he will not eat of our fruit for the first 3 years, being uncircumcised. But in the 4th year, all the fruit thereof shall be holy to praise Yahweh withal. It's interesting, we're in the 4th year right now. And in the 5th year you shall eat of the fruit thereof, that it may yield unto you the increase thereof. I am Yahweh your Elohim. So if he's the gardener and he's starting to do fruit inspections from these trees he's planted over the last 4 years, some are beginning to bear fruit, some are not. You'll see that come alive. You'll see this thought process of the years come alive in the parable in Luke, which a lot of you are probably already thinking of. Luke 13:6-9. He spake this parable. This is a parable for people. This isn't about actual trees. A certain man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came and sought fruit thereon and found none. Then he said unto the dresser of his vineyard, behold, these 3 years, remember, these 3 years I come seeking fruit on this fig tree and find none. Cut it down. Why cumbereth it the ground? And he answered and said to him, Master, let it alone this year also, till I shall dig about it and dung it. And if it bear fruit, well, and if it not, after that you shall cut it down. Isn't it interesting that 3 years after the Revelation 12 sign has been this big kind of departing away from the Most High? Like a big group of people just like, yeah, we love Messiah, we come back to him in the Torah, and then just like, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, we're out of here. We don't believe any of that garbage anymore. The fruit inspection. I'm here to tell you, I believe Abba did a fruit inspection and dug up some trees and tossed them out of the garden. So we should inspect our own fruit and see where we're at all times, because I can assure you he's going to inspect our fruit. So it's interesting. So this year would be the 4th year when the fruit is considered holy. And then a year from now would be the 5th year from the Revelation 12 sign, which I do believe is totally legitimate. That was the spiritual birth. We can call that the planting, maybe even. So just something really interesting to consider, I would say. So let's move on. I think we got the point with water and doctrine and all those kind of things by now, and plants. Verse 3, because I will publish the name of Yahweh, ascribe ye greatness unto our Elohim. Praise Yah. He is the rock, his work is perfect, for all his ways are judgment, an El of truth, and without iniquity, just and right is he. It's cool. It's interesting how, I know this is in Hebrew, but it's interesting how in English, this actually rhymes a lot. Pretty cool. So let's talk about the rock. Not the rock we grew up hearing about. the real rock. 2 Samuel 22, 1-3. And David spoke unto Yahweh the words of this song in the day that Yahweh had delivered him out of the hands of all his enemies and out of the hand of Saul. And he said, Yahweh is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, the Elohim of my rock, in him will I trust. Now it's interesting here that I think David knew the Father and his son, Yahusha. Because look at this. It's kind of hidden here. It says, Yahweh is my rock, and then it says, the Elohim of my rock, in him I trust. Because we know that Messiah Yahusha is the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word is also Elohim. So Messiah is Elohim. He's in the English word that we all know. He is God. He's just not the Father. So check this out. If the Father is the rock, right? The Elohim of my rock, in him will I trust. He is my shield and the horn of my salvation, my high tower, my refuge, my Savior. You save me from violence. Praise Yah. Psalm 110, Yahweh said unto my Adonai, sit thou on my right hand until I make my enemies my footstool. So you see the same thing here. It says, if you look at the Hebrew, it actually says, Yahweh said unto my master, my Adon, right? So you can see the, it's just like Yahweh didn't speak to himself. He spoke to his David's Adonai, and Messiah Yahusha used that very same parable, or that very same verse here to kind of share with him, hey, I'm the Son. Don't you remember that passage right here? Matthew 22, 41-46. While the Pharisees were gathered together, Yahusha asked them, saying, what do you think of Messiah? Whose son is he? And they say unto him, the son of David. And he's like, watch this. He said unto them, how then does David in spirit call him Adon, master, saying, Yahweh said unto my Adonai, sit thou on my right hand till I make thine enemies thy footstool. If David then calls him master, how is he his son? Right? And if that was a modern day moment, everybody would be like, ooh, like, oh, because there's no way out of that, right? And there's like, right, and no man was able to answer him a word. Neither durst any man from that day forth ask him any more questions. So pretty cool stuff. All right, so 32:5. They have corrupted themselves. Their spot is not the spot of his children. They are a perverse and crooked generation. Let's talk about being spotted. First of all, we know with sacrifices that they couldn't bring a spotted sacrifice or a lame or a blind sacrifice. It would be profane. So if we are likened to living sacrifices, should we be spotted? Now, obviously, we can't help our physical attributes. If I've got moles, I guess I'm spotted, right? I'm talking about our walk, right? Our walk. Revelation 19:8, and to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. So having a clean garment is a parable of righteousness. Revelation 3:4, you have a few names in Sardis which have not defiled their garments. They shall walk with me in white, for they are worthy. Praise Yah. Ecclesiastes 9:8, let thy garments be always white, and let thy head lack no ointment. Be clean, right? Be clean. And, ointment on the head is kind of a parable in of itself, and it's softening your horn, softening your head, being soft ground, being good ground, rather than being hard and rough, if you will. Jude 23, and others save with fear, pulling them out of the fire, hating even the garment spotted by the flesh. So we could spot our garments, our spiritual garments, if you will, by the works of the flesh. Just like Paul says, the works of the Spirit, the works of the flesh. The works of the Spirit are the works of the Torah, because this Torah is Spirit. Romans, is it 7:12 or 7:14? I can't remember. But so, the works of the Spirit are the works of the Torah. The works of the flesh, he says, are murder, adultery, fornication, lasciviousness, drunkenness, all these kind of things. That's how we spot our garments, is by breaking the commandments. Exodus 19:5-6. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. Marriage contract. If you do this, I will do this for you. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak unto the children of Israel. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which Yahweh commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that Yahweh has spoken we will do. What does that sound like? Yeah, marriage. I do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto Yahweh. Remember the parable of the king and the wedding feast? Right? The person that didn't have on a garment, or maybe their garment was spotted. I don't know. Either way, but they didn't have the clean, the white and clean linen garment. They're kicked out. You're out. Who of us wants to be kicked out? I don't want to be kicked out. I know you don't either. So let's clean it up. Let's clean up our act. And Yahweh said, so yeah, okay. So let's not be spotted. Let's clean up our act. Let's wash our garments. Let's just like good old Elyon used to say, being washed by the word. All right, let's get washed. Let's wash away these filthy deeds that we used to do and never return to them. Verse 6, 32:6. Do you thus requite Yahweh, O you foolish people? Right? Is this how you repay me? This is how you repay Yahweh? O foolish people and unwise, is not he your father that has bought you? Has he not made you and established you? Right? Especially in this day and age. Evolution really bothers me. It hurts my feelings for him. Of looking around at everything he created, the works of his hands by Yahusha, his word, and people are like, yeah, some stardust came down here and crashed down, and these bacteria formed. I just don't even want to repeat it. It's so ridiculous. I don't even want to say it's Shabbat. I don't even want to say it's not. Oh, it just makes me mad. It just upsets me for him. Can you imagine? He's like, because what percentage of the world thinks that this world was created by spontaneous goo, that goo became animals, and I don't know, and put yourself in his shoes for a moment. And you're like looking down at like these 8 billion people, and probably 6 billion of them are like, yep, it's beautiful around here. It's kind of crazy how like billions of years can just do this. Pretty cool. Not. Our rock, he did it with the works of his hands. I wonder how he did it too. Like, did he sit down at like an art table and was he sketching it all out? Like this is what a cedar tree is going to look like. Or a cardinal, right? He's like, no, a cardinal should be red. That's a cardinal, or whatever. That's an English word, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, did he do that, or is he just like poof, 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 poof? I guess we'll find out one day. I don't know. All I know is I look around the creation and I'm like, man, I want to meet the team that made this, right? I want to meet the guy that made all this, right? And look around at us. Look at people. What an amazing creation that is. Certainly they can be mean at times and rude and all these other things, but man, I used to have a job in the mall when I was young. I used to be one of those guys in the middle selling cell phones. But it gave me a lot of time to people watch. I find people very interesting. All right, I'm getting way off topic. Okay, I'm sorry. But look at his creation. It's amazing, right? So he's asking the question, is he, right? Is he not the father that bought you? Has he not made you and established you? What about everything else around us too, let's get a little into the heart of Yah. Let's look at things from his perspective. We get a breakdown here of what he did for the children of Israel. And they just kept rebelling, and they just kept complaining and wanting to stone Moses and all kinds. 2 Ezra chapter 1, 4-37. The word of Yahweh came to me saying, so who came to Ezra? The word of Yahweh came to me saying, go and declare to my people their evil deeds, and to their children the iniquities which they have committed against me, so that they may tell their children's children that the sins of their parents have increased in them, for they have forgotten me and have offered sacrifices to strange Elohim. Was it not I who brought them out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage? But they have angered me and despised my counsels. Pull out the hair of your head and hurl all evils upon them, for they have not obeyed my Torah. They are a rebellious people. How long shall I endure them? on whom I have bestowed such great gifts and benefits. For their sake I have overthrown many kings. I struck down Pharaoh with his servants and all his army. I have destroyed all nations before them. I have scattered in the east the people of 2 provinces, Tyre and Sidon. I have slain all their enemies. But speak to them and say, Thus says Yahweh, surely it was I who brought you through the sea and made safe highways for you where there was no road. I gave you Moses as leader and Aaron as priest. I provided light for you from a pillar of fire and did great wonders among you. Yet you have forgotten me, says Yahweh. Thus says El Shaddai, the quails were assigned to you. I gave you camps for your protection, and in them you complained. You have not exulted in my name at the destruction of your enemies, but to this day you still complain. Where are the benefits which I bestowed on you? When you were hungry and thirsty in the wilderness, did you not cry out to me, saying, Why have you led us into this wilderness to kill us? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in this wilderness. I pitied your groanings and gave you manna for food. You ate the bread of angels. When you were thirsty, I did not cleave the rock so that the waters flowed. When you were thirsty, did I not cleave the rock so that the waters flowed in abundance? Because of the heat, I covered you with leaves of trees. I divided fertile lands among you. I drove out the Canaanites, the Perizzites, and the Philistines before you. What more can I do for you, says Yahuwah? Thus says El Shaddai. When you were in the wilderness at the bitter stream, thirsty and blaspheming my name, I did not send fire upon you for your blasphemies, but threw a tree into the water and made the stream sweet. What shall I do to you, O Jacob? You would not obey me, O Judah. I will turn to other nations and will give them my name, that they may keep my statutes. Because you have forsaken me, I also will forsake you. When you beg mercy of me, I will show you no mercy. When you call upon me, I will not listen to you, for you have defiled your hands with blood, and your feet are swift to commit murder. It is not as though you had forsaken me, you have forsaken yourselves, says Yahweh. Thus says El Shaddai, and here's a passage that Messiah quotes in Matthew 22, I think, or 23. Have I not entreated you as a father entreats his sons, or a mother her daughters, or a nurse her children, that you should be my people, and I should be your Elohim, and that you should be my sons, and I should be your father? Now listen, here it is. I gathered you as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, but now what shall I do to you? I will cast you out from my presence. When you offer oblations to me, I will turn my face from you, for I have rejected your feast days and new moons and circumcisions of the flesh. I sent to you my servants the prophets, but you have taken and slain them and torn their bodies in pieces. Their blood will I require of you, says Yahweh. Thus says El Shaddai, your house is desolate. I will drive you out as the wind drives straw, and your sons will have no children, because with you they have neglected my commandment and have done what is evil in my sight. Right. So this is all still talking about, right? Is this how you repay? Is this how you requite? How you repay Yahweh for everything I've done for you? Now listen, here's the parable of the vineyard, or the parable of the wicked tenants. I will give your houses to a people that will come, who without having heard me will believe. Those to whom I have shown no signs will do what I have commanded. They have seen no prophets, yet will recall their former state. Whoa, is that talking about now or what? I call to witness the gratitude of the people that is to come, with whose children rejoice with gladness, though they do not see me with bodily eyes, yet with the Spirit they will believe the things I have said. Wow, that is not awesome or what? Praise Yah. Verse 7, remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations, ask your father, and he will show you, and your elders, and they will teach you well. Unfortunately, in our generation, that doesn't work out too well, because we ask our elders and whatnot, and they're like, yeah, when I was in seminary, and blah, blah, you're like, oh man, okay. Not trying to be sassy, I'm just saying, like, that's not really easy for us to ask our older generations, because most of them were caught up in this whole apostasy thing. But if we keep this going on long enough, we will have that. Okay, wow, this is going to be a long one. We're an hour in, and we have gotten maybe 25% through. Okay, this might be like a 4-hour Torah portion. Let's keep going. Verse 8 here. So here's an interesting one. When Elyon divided to the nations their inheritance, so this is the dividing of the 70 nations, when he separated the sons of men, right, this is the days of Peleg, He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. Now, that's actually not true. Only the Masoretic says this. All the other versions say something else. And you're like, well, what's the big deal? Actually, it's kind of an interesting big deal. Let's take a look at the Septuagint. We'll look at it again. So, verse 8, when the Most High divided the nations, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the nations according to the numbers of the angels of Elohim, completely different. The Dead Sea Scrolls says the very same thing. Here we go. Deuteronomy 32. Verse 8, when the Most High gave to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the children of men, he set the bounds of the peoples according to the number of the children of Elohim. You'll see here, it scratches out Israel because it shows you the changes or the differences in the Dead Sea Scrolls text versus what is in the Masoretic. So, and according to the number of the children of Elohim, which is the angels, if you will. What else do I want to show you here? So, here we'll have this is Jasher chapter 9, verse 32. And here's where it kind of stems from. And Elohim said to the 70 angels who stood foremost before him, to those who were near him, saying, come, let us descend and confuse their tongues. This, of course, is at the Tower of Babel, that one man shall not understand the language of his neighbor. And they did so unto them. So they confused the languages, and from those 70 languages became the 70 nations and the 70 angels, the 70 Elohim. This is the council of 70 that rules over the earth, right? But the Most High separated himself, so there's actually 71. There's 70 nations, and there's the nation of Israel that's outside of used to be outside the jurisdiction of the 70, but when Yahweh divorced us and cast us all away, he spread us, obviously, and spread us abroad into those 70 nations under the rule of those Elohim. So let's take a look at another witness, the Targums. We're going to look at Genesis 11, and where are we at here? 10, 11, fifth paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the Aramaic Targums of Genesis 11. And Yahweh said, behold, the people is one, and the language of all them is one, and this they have thought to do. And now they will not be restrained from doing whatever they imagine. And Yahweh said to the 70 angels which stand before him, come, we will descend, and there commingle their language, that a man shall not understand the speech of his neighbor. And the word of Yahweh was revealed against the city. So the word of Yahweh is not a piece of paper. It's a living being. It's our Messiah. So he came down, with him the 70 angels. So 71 came down, right? And with him 70 angels, having reference to the 70 nations, each having its own language, and thence the writing of its own hand. And he dispersed them from thence upon the face of all the earth into 70 languages. And one knew not his neighbor would say, but one slew the other, and they ceased from building the city. Therefore the name of it is called Babel. So that's where this comes from. That's where the dispersion comes from, and that's where the correct translation would be according to the number of the children of Elohim, or the angels of Elohim, if you will. Let's see what I have here. Oh, yeah. So it's interesting that here in the functions of the 7 archangels, even though the children of Israel are over, are under the jurisdiction of Messiah, and of course the Father, it looks like he tasks out Michael to be that 71st angel of the council, if you will. So this is Enoch 20. And the names of the holy angels who watch: Uriel, one of the holy angels who is over the world and over Tartarus; Raphael, one of the holy angels who is over the spirits of men; Raguel, one of the holy angels who takes vengeance on the world of luminaries. Now, Michael, one of the holy angels, to wit, he that is set over the best part of mankind, right? So the best part of mankind, I think the Sefer actually renders it a little bit differently, but over the righteous part of mankind, which is, of course, is the children of Israel, and over chaos. And I think in the Sefer, the chaos is the raging of the nations, right? So it's kind of interesting, not conclusive, but it's just something to consider. And then knowing who these 70 are gives us understanding what was actually said, because a lot of people actually misuse Messiah's words when he says, it is not written in your law that I said ye are Elohim. He's not actually talking to them and being like, hey, I said in the Torah that you are gods, you are Elohim. That's not what he said. He's referencing Psalm 81 where it says, or it's actually Psalm 82, but in the Septuagint it's 81. Elohim stands in the assembly of Elohim, of gods, multiple, right? These are the angels. And in the midst of them will judge Elohim. How long will you judge unrighteously and accept the persons of sinners? Pause. Selah. Judge the orphan and the poor. Do justice to the low and the needy. Rescue the needy and deliver the poor out of the hand of the sinner. They know not, nor understand. They walk in on darkness. All the foundations of the earth shall be shaken. I have said, you are Elohim, and all of you are the children of the Most High. These are the angels. These are the B'nai Elohim. But you shall die as men and fall as one of the princes. So this psalm is actually about the council of 70, of the 70 nations, right? And again, what are we talking about here? He set the bounds of the nations, of the people, of the 70 people according to the children of Elohim, according to the angels of Elohim. And it says that you are Elohim, but you're going to die as men. Why? Because they ruled unrighteously. And you're going to see that here in the book of Enoch. Right here, Enoch chapter 90, verses 20 through 27. And I saw till a throne was erected in the pleasant land, and Yahweh of the sheep sat himself thereon. And the other took the sealed books and opened those books before Yahweh the sheep. And Yahweh called those men, the 7 first white ones, the 7 archangels, and commanded they should bring before him the beginning with the first star which led all the way. This is Satan, of course, all the stars, whose privy members were like that of horses, and they brought them all before him. And he said to the man who wrote before him, being one of those 7 white ones, and said unto him, take those 70 shepherds. This is the 70 Elohim of the council of 70, the council of the gods, the council of the Elohim. Take those 70 shepherds whom I delivered to the sheep, right? So who he delivered his people to, and who taking them on their own authority slew more than I commanded them. And behold, they were all bound, and I saw till they all stood before him. And the judgment was held first over the stars, and they were judged and found guilty, and went to the place of condemnation. And they were cast into abyss, full of fire and flaming, and full of pillars of fire. So that's Satan and the watchers. Now, and those 70 shepherds, this is the 70 Elohim, were judged and found guilty, and they were cast into that fiery abyss. So that's where they die like men. All right, let's close up some of these tabs here. Okay, and you'll see that come alive here. It makes a little more sense when we read Daniel chapter 10. Verse 10 and through 21, and behold, a hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands, and he said unto me, Daniel, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto you, and stand upright, for unto you am I now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. Then he said unto me, fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that you did set your heart to understand, and to chasten yourself before your Elohim, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. Now listen, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. And now am I come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days, for yet the vision is for many days. And when he had spoken such words to me, I set my face toward the ground and became dumb. And behold, one like the similitude of the sons of men touched my lips, and I opened my mouth and spake. And I said unto him that stood before me, O my master, by the vision of my sorrows are turned upon me, and I have retained no strength. For how can the servant of this my master talk with this my master? For as for me, straightway there remained no strength in me, neither is there breath left in me. Then there came again and touched me one like the appearance of a man, and he strengthened me, and said, O man greatly beloved, fear not, peace be unto thee, be strong, yea, be strong. And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened, and said, Let my master speak, for you have strengthened me. Then he said, Knowest thou wherefore I am come unto you? And now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia, and when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Grecia shall come. But I will show you that which is noted in the scripture of truth, and there is none that holdeth with me these things, but Michael your prince. So there it kind of confirms that my thought process that Michael is the 71st angel that's over the children of Israel. But nevertheless, what we see here is the angel Gabriel coming to speak with Daniel, but the prince of Persia, right, withstood him. Wait, is an earthly king being like, hey, you got to get back. Like, you can't. No. Right? Because remember, I think at this time, the Persians ruled the earth at this time. So the prince of Persia, right, was like, no, Gabriel, I'm going to withstand you. You're not going to be able to come and talk to Daniel. It was the spiritual prince, right? It was one of the 70 that was withholding him. The one of the 70 that was over the realm of Persia, right? That was his dominion. And he's like, no. Because let me tell you something. One of the princes that was a man would not be able to withstand Gabriel, right? So anyways, kind of an interesting rabbit trail, but I wanted to share with you really just the truth behind this and kind of the story that tells. All right, let's keep going now. Verse 9, for Yahweh's portion is his people, right? So even though the nations were spread into 70 distinct territories, Yahweh's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. We kind of see a little of that here in Jubilees 2, and we see what the requirements are. Part of the requirements are for that. It says Jubilees 2:20. Yeah, Jubilees 2:20. And he said unto us, behold, I will separate unto myself a people from among all the peoples, and these shall guard the Sabbath, and I will sanctify them unto myself as my people, and will bless them, as I have sanctified the Sabbath, and do sanctify it unto myself. Even so will I bless them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim. So the Sabbath is a huge token, a sign, right, of who's his and who's not his. Just keep that in mind. 2 Esdras 5:21-30. And after 7 days, the thoughts of my heart were very grievous to me again. Then my soul recovered the spirit of understanding, and I began once more to speak words in the presence of the Most High. And I said, O sovereign Adonai, from every forest of the earth and from all its trees you have chosen one vine. So out of all the nations, which are likened to plants, right, you chose one little vine. And from all the lands of the world you have chosen yourself one region. And from all the flowers of the world you have chosen yourself one lily. And from all the depths of the sea you have filled for yourself one river. And from all the cities you have built, and from all the cities that have been built you have consecrated Zion for thyself. And from all the birds that have been created thou hast named for thyself one dove. And from all the flocks that have been made you have provided for thyself one sheep. And from all the multitude of peoples you have gotten for yourself one people. And to this people whom you have loved you have given the Torah, which is approved by all. And now, O Yahweh, why have you given over the one to the many, and dishonored the one root beyond the others, and scattered your only one among the many? And those who oppose thy promises have trodden down those who believe thy covenants. If you do really hate your people, they should be punished at your own hands. And so this is just Ezra's heart, just lamenting, knowing that the Most High had separated many nations, but chose for himself just that one. He separated, right? So Yahweh's portion, his portion of everything, just like Ezra said, is just that, is one people. He's like, I didn't pick you because you're the greatest number of people. Let me ask you a question. Why do you think that number in Revelation is not figurative but literal? 144,000, and then the great multitude. What are we talking about? A couple million people, maybe? Out of 8 billion people, that's like nothing. Nothing. All right, we're going to read verses 10-12. He found him in a desert land, of course, Abraham, and in the waste howling wilderness, and led him about. He instructed him. So after the Tower of Babel and the dispersions, right, after a couple generations it succeeded, or actually, really it was just like 1 or 2 generations after the tower, because Terah was there during the tower, was he not? Yeah, he was. So after the tower, the dispersions, right, after like a generation sprung up after that, what did he do? He picked one. He picked Abraham, just one. Out of all the multitudes, he picked Abraham. Dear brother in our local fellowship, also named Adam, was talking about farming. And again, you really learn so much with farming. He said, a farmer, when they plant, just rows and rows of things, they'll find the best plant, especially one that survives the harsh climate or whatever. You find like kind of like the tough one, or produces the best looking fruit, and you can take that fruit, right, the seed from that fruit, and you can just take that one and multiply that one and be like, well, out of all these, like, let's just say you have 50 head of cabbage. You're like, that cabbage is the winner. That cabbage is the one. I'm going to take that one cabbage and I'm going to reproduce that one. That's essentially what he did with Abraham, right? After the dispersions, he started looking at the fruit, and he chose for himself 1. Abraham. He found him in a desert land, in a waste howling wilderness. He led him about. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. And as an eagle stirs up her nest, flutters over her young, spreads abroad her wings, takes them, bears them on her wings, so Yahweh alone did lead him. And there was no strange El with him. He made him to ride on the high places of the earth, that he might eat the increase of the fields. He made him to suck honey out of the rock, and oil out of the flinty rock. Interesting passage there. We'll go over that in a second. So let's just quickly, the eagle reference. Let me just let's just take a look at that. Right, Exodus 19:4. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, how I bare you on an eagle's wings and brought you unto myself. I'm here to say the book of Revelation is a repeat of the book of Exodus, right? In a renewed fashion. Revelation 12:5, she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to Elohim and to his throne. Verse 14, and to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she should fly into the wilderness and to her place, where she is nourished for a time, times, and half a time from the face of the serpent. So what's happened before will happen again. Let's see. Yeah, this is a good passage. How can I pass this up? Enoch 39, and it shall come to pass in those days that the elect and holy children will descend from the high heaven, and their seed will become one with the children of men. And in those days Enoch received books of zeal and wrath, and books of disquiet and expulsion. And mercy shall not be accorded to them, saith Yahweh Sabaoth. And in those days a whirlwind carried me off from the earth, and set me down at the end of the heavens. And there I saw another vision, the dwelling places of the holy, and the resting places of the righteous. Here mine eyes saw their dwellings with his righteous angels, and their resting places with the holy. And they petitioned and interceded and prayed for the children of men, and righteousness flowed before them as water. Oh, we saw that earlier, did we not? And mercy like the dew upon the earth. Thus it is amongst them forever and ever. And in that place mine eyes saw the elect one of righteousness and of faith, and I saw his dwelling place under the wings of Yahweh Sabaoth. And righteousness shall prevail in his days, and the righteous and elect shall be without number before him forever and ever. And all the righteous and elect before him shall be strong as fiery lights, and their mouth shall be full of blessing. And their lips extol the name of Yahweh Sabaoth, and righteousness before him shall never fail, and uprightness shall never fail before him. There I wish to dwell, and there my spirit longed for that dwelling place. And there heretofore has been my portion, for so has been established concerning me before Yahweh Sabaoth. Yeah, okay. Let's take a look at Enoch 100, where is it? Yeah, we'll read the first part. This is Enoch, what is this? 96. Be hopeful, ye righteous, for suddenly shall the sinners perish before you, and ye shall have lordship over them according to your desires. And in the day of the tribulation of the sinners, your children shall mount and rise as eagles, and higher than the vultures will be your nest. And ye shall ascend and enter the crevices of the earth, and the clefts of the rock forever as conies before the unrighteous, and the sirens shall weep and sigh because of you. Wherefore fear not, you that have suffered, for healing shall be your portion, and a bright light shall enlighten you, and the voice of rest shall ye hear from heaven. Who is ready for that moment? So verse 13 again, there's a really interesting passage here. And it says, he made him to suck honey out of the rock. Now, surely you can be like, hey, that's a parable, the milk and honey. He put him into a land of milk and honey. Okay, fair enough. However, did you know there's a story about the children of Israel literally sucking honey out of a rock? Like, you want to see? Book of Jasher 67, 53 through 59. This is when Pharaoh was trying to kill all the babies. Let's see. Yeah, 53. Jasher 67, 53. And when the children of Israel heard this thing which Pharaoh had commanded, to cast their male children into the river, some of the people separated from their wives, and others adhered to them. And from that day forward, when the time of delivery arrived to those women of Israel who had remained with their husbands, they went to the field to bring forth there, and they brought forth in the field and left their children upon the field and returned home. Interesting, right? You'll actually see this in the book of Exodus, the Targums too. And Yahweh, who had sworn to their ancestors to multiply them, sent one of his ministering angels which are in heaven to wash each child in water, and to anoint and swathe it, and to put it into its hands 2 smooth stones, from one which it sucked milk, and from the other honey. And it caused its hair to grow to its knees, by which it might cover itself, to cover it and to cleave to it, through his compassion for it. And when Elohim had compassion over them, and had desired to multiply them upon the face of the land, he ordered his earth to receive them, to be preserved therein, till the time of their growing up. After which the earth opened its mouth, and vomited them forth, and they sprouted forth from the city like the herb of the earth, and the grass of the forest, and they returned each to his family, and to his father's house, and they remained with them. Pretty wild story, but I gotta tell you, I believe it. You got a second witness. We really do. We're going to look at the Targums of Exodus chapter 15. We're going to look at the, let's see, the 6th paragraph. 1, 2, chapter, that's 14. All right, so we're going to look at chapter 15. Hang on. All right, 15. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here we go. From their mother's breasts even did the children have given signs with their fingers. From their mother's breasts even the children have given signs with their fingers to their fathers, and said, This is our Elohim, who nourished us with honey from the rock, and with oil from the stone of clay. And at the time when our mothers went forth upon the face of the earth to give us birth, to leave us there, he sent an angel who washed us and enwrapped us, and now we will praise him. He is the Elohim of our fathers, and we will exalt him. Second witness. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty wild story, but I believe it. Okay, verse 14, butter of kine, milk of sheep, fat of lambs and rams of the breed of Bashan, and goats with the fat of kidneys of wheat, and you did drink the pure blood of the grapes. So these are all looked at as good things. Like Yahweh's like, you had all this stuff, right? So, there's a movement going on promoting veganism. I'm not going to argue that may be a very healthy way to live, but people are condemning others for, eating anything that comes from an animal, meat, and of course the fruits of an animal, which is the milk and the butter and those kind of things. I'm here to say it's straight up Torah to be able to consume those things. Certainly, I think we need to do our due diligence and see where these things come from, but nevertheless, butter of cows is good according to the Torah, right? And milk of sheep. Who's ever had sheep milk? I've never had sheep milk before, right? And the pure blood of the grape, right? The wine according to Torah is good. The drunkard's not good, but wine is good. Messiah drank. All right, verse 15. But Yashron waxed fat and kicked. You are waxen fat. You are grown thick. You are covered with fatness. Then he forsook Eloha, which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his Yeshua. Now listen, I'm nobody to judge anything. I have struggled with my weight my entire life. It's part of the generational curses. My entire side of my mom's family, we all struggle with the same thing, overeating. But it's something that part of my personal walk, I've had to just take hold of this and realize, the problem and to break that cycle. I want to break that for my children. But point being is, we know why the enemy is, focuses on getting this country and really the whole world fat through artificial means, through like artificial foods and whatnot to just help make people fat and like kill people's thyroids and all kinds of stuff. But, in general, when heaviness comes upon you, this is what it does. And I'm not no judge, because I know a lot of heavy people in Torah that are like, they're walking in Torah. I can't judge their walk. But in general, I don't think it's a good thing to be that way. That's not how he created us. And I'm talking to myself, trust me, because this has been a lifelong challenge for me is to get a hold of this. It's probably literally the last lust or addiction for me to get rid of is overeating food. And while I believe Yah has given me victory on that, this is a constant one for me to always have to like check myself. Because, it's just old habits. You sit down, especially like Shabbat, right? You're like, oh, look at all this food. We do these gatherings and people bring all this amazing food. And I'm like, yeah. And then I look at my plate. I'm like, what did I just do? Like, this is too much food. What am I doing? So anyways, I just want to give some loving advice and some loving scriptures that we really need to get hold of this, because we see that everything was good, all these good things, and then like they got fat, and then you'll see everything just went. This is kind of on topic. Sirach 31:12-22. Are you seated at the table of a great man? Do not be greedy at it, and do not say, there is certainly much upon it. Like, right, what I just said, like, these Shabbat banquets. Remember that a greedy eye is a bad thing. What has been created more greedy than the eye? Therefore it sheds tears from every face. Do not reach out your hand for everything you see, and do not crowd your neighbor at the dish. Judge your neighbor's feelings by your own, and in every matter be thoughtful. Eat like a human being what is set before you, and do not chew greedily, lest you be hated. Be the first to stop eating for the sake of good manners, and do not be insatiable. Insatiable, it would be like gluttony, and being insatiable, like you just can't have enough. I've put myself out there. Y'all know that I lived a terrible life. I used to smoke marijuana, smoke cannabis, and one of the, for me, cannabis didn't have a lot of bad side effects. It didn't make me make bad decisions and all those kind of things. But one thing it did really bad for me is it gave me an insatiable appetite, right? What people call the munchies, right? And I would consume cannabis, and I would just get so hungry, like I just eat a whole bag of chips, and you're like, wow, where do those bag of chips go? It's crazy. That's being insatiable, right? Unable to be satisfied. You just keep eating and eating and eating, and that was one of the many reasons why I felt led to put it down. I'm like, okay, no way. This how can I be walking with Yah if I'm doing this, right? So do not be insatiable, lest you give offense. If you are seated among many persons, do not reach out your hand before they do. How ample a little is well for a well-disciplined man. How ample a little is for a well-disciplined man. He does not breathe heavily upon his bed. Healthy sleep depends on moderate eating. He rises early and feels fit. The distress of sleeplessness and of nausea and of colic are with the glutton. If you are overstuffed with food, get up in the middle of the meal, and you will have relief. Listen to me, son, and do not disregard me, and in the end you will appreciate my words, and in all your work be industrious, and no sickness will overtake you. Sirach 37:29-31. Do not have an insatiable appetite for luxury, and do not give yourself up to food, for overeating brings sickness, and gluttony leads to nausea. Many have died because of gluttony, but he who is careful to avoid it prolongs his life. So just some interesting words, maybe some words of encouragement for those of you that might be struggling. Again, no condemnation for me. This is something that I've struggled with most of my life, so I get it, totally get it. But nevertheless, I think it is time to take hold of those things, even our overeating. Proverbs 23:20. Do not be among wine-bibbers or among riotous eaters of flesh. Other translations is gluttonous eaters of flesh, right? So wine is good, but to be a wine-bibber, a drunk, is not good. Eating food is great, but to be a glutton is not a good thing. Luke 21:34. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting. Come here, baby. You want to say hi?
Hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
Oh.
Hi.
You want to blow the shofar for them?
No.
Yes. Show them your new shofar and blow it. Nice. I love you. Daddy's still recording, okay? So I'll be with you in just a little bit. Love you. You can close the door. Daniel. That's my Daniel. As you probably just heard, I did pre-record this because it's a double Shabbat. I wanted to spend time with my family tonight. So, but I think I will, at the end of this, I will pop on at the end because I want to hang out with the chat. So we'll see how that works. But I've really been enjoying hanging out with the family on Shabbats. I'm trying not to be so secluded from them because ever since we started doing a local fellowship, I've gotten really involved with our local fellowship, and pretty much all day on the seventh day, what people call Saturday, right? I'm pretty much with the fellowship all day, and my children are there, but they're doing children's stuff, and I'm leading the studies and all kinds of stuff. So we don't get to hang out, and so I'm like, man, maybe I should start hanging out with them Friday night. So I've been pre-recording these here and there. So anyways, I will try to jump on at the end here and catch it at the end and hang out with the chat. So all right, let's keep going. So take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting, which if you look at surfeiting is overeating, and drunkenness and cares of this life, so that day come upon you unawares. Not a good idea. Let's actually stop there. That's enough. So I think we get the point, right? So let's not wax fat. Verse 16, they provoked him to jealousy with strange Elohim, with abominations they provoked him to anger. They sacrificed unto devils, Shadim, not to Elohai, to Elohim whom they knew not, to Elohim that newly came up, whom your fathers feared not. So speaking of which, what Elohim do you think that they served? Yeah, probably the 70 that judge the world on righteousness. The 70 they're going to be tossed into the fire with Hasatan as well, right? Just a hunch. Let's see here. Psalm 106, 36 through 40, they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils, and shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and of their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan. And the land was polluted with blood. Thus were they defiled with their own works, and went a-whoring with their own inventions. Therefore was the wrath of Yahweh kindled against his people, insomuch that he abhorred his own inheritance. We know idols aren't just statues that people bow down to. Ezekiel 14, then came the certain elders of Israel unto me, and sat before me, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, these men have set up their idols in their heart, and put the stumbling block of their iniquity before their face. Should I be inquired at all by them? Therefore speak unto them, and say unto them, Thus says Yahweh, every man of the house of Israel that sets up his idols in his heart, and puts the stumbling block of his iniquity before his face, and comes to the prophet, I, Yahweh, will answer him that comes according to the multitude of his idols. That I may take the house of Israel in their own heart, because they are all estranged from me through their idols. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, Thus says Yahweh Elohim, repent, and turn yourselves from your idols, and turn away your faces from all your abominations. Let's see. Right. So anyways, I want to also liken that to Revelation 13, 1 through 4. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. So you have a conglomerate of the beast. It's like a one world order. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? So if people are worshipping according to the beast, they are inherently worshipping devils, because the devil gave the beast his power, and more than likely its doctrine and ways of worship, aka like Sunday instead of Shabbat, the 7th day, like aka the first day instead of the 7th day, aka Christmas and Easter instead of the 7 feast days, things like that. Even if people are thinking that they are worshiping Yah, but when they're doing it in ways decreed by the beast, they're not worshiping Yah, because they're not doing it the way he told them to. He's doing it according to the way the devils told him to do it. Okay, let's keep going here. Verse 18, Of the rock that begat you, you are unmindful, and have forgotten El that formed you. And when Yahweh saw it, he abhorred them, because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be, for they are a very froward generation, children in him is whom is no belief. Luke 18:8, I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man comes, shall he find faith on the earth? There's plenty of people saying, I love you, I believe in you, but aren't walking out that faith. Faith is a verb. Faith is an action, right? We have to show that our faith. Just like James says, faith without works, it's dead. Being alone, it's worthless. And when Yahweh saw it, he abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be, for they are a very froward generation, children in whom is no belief. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not El. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities. I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. For a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn unto the lowest Sheol, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. I will heap mischiefs upon them. I will spend my arrows upon them. They shall be burnt with hunger, and devoured with burning heat, and with bitter destruction. I will also send the teeth of beasts upon them, with the poison of serpents of the dust. The sword without and terror within shall destroy both the young man and the virgin, the suckling also with the man of gray hairs. So this this verse here, I will also send among them the beasts upon them, reminds me of a dream I had, I guess about a week ago now. I don't share dreams often, but when I feel like they're significant, I will share them. So I had a dream of the 4 sore judgments, and I want to share that with you. Specifically talking about here, I will also send the teeth of beasts upon them. I saw this, and it was pretty wild. So this happened on the 22nd day of the 6th month, at least the calendar I follow, aka 9/29/21. I dreamed a dream. I was at my old job in Williamsburg, Virginia. I was speaking to some of my former coworkers, and one of them handed me a folded up bill, perhaps a 20 or a 50. I specifically remembered seeing the eagle on the fold. I was looking around for my former boss to let him know that I was quitting, but couldn't find him. Nevertheless, I left because I knew it was time to go. I went to where my car was parked, but it wasn't there. But of course, because it was a dream, I had a spare car, my old 2006 silver Mazda 6 sedan. I began driving away, and at first I saw the most beautiful owl I've ever seen. It was all white, with crimson or scarlet wings and back. It also had some gold around its face, if I remember correctly. So I looked up, and I found this, an owl like this, but I couldn't find one with red wings. I guess it doesn't exist. It flew towards me, but landed and stopped across the street and looked at me. It started walking towards me in what seemed to be a friendly manner. Then cars screamed by and almost hit it, and it distracted it from coming towards me. So it might have been friendly, I don't know, but it was just like intently looking at me and like walking. So maybe it was threatening, but it was just like... And then cars were getting ready to hit it, and it distracted it and allowed me to kind of just go. So actually, now if I think about it, maybe it was in a threatening manner. I don't know. Then cars screamed by, almost hit it. When it was walking, it was 6 to 7 feet tall. It was tall, maybe even taller than that. It was tall. This is where it gets crazy. Then I looked over to my left, and I saw many packs of roving wolves. They were almost like rabid dogs. Like everything was like in fast forward. Like I don't get a lot of time to watch a lot of other content. When I do, I watch it like in 1.5 or 2.0 speed, so I can like get through it because my time is very short. So anyways, it reminded me of that. It reminded me like it was like in kind of like fast forward mode, like not fast forward like where it's like blah, 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 but like 1.5 or 2.0 speed. Then I looked over to my left and saw many packs of roving wolves. They were almost like rabid dogs. They were tearing each other apart and people. Thankfully, they were not interested in me. I started driving and saw so much carnage, wolves, and now birds eating away at people. It was like picking out eyes and just picking off flesh. It was just crazy. So much devastation. Then I saw many fish out of water and flapping around, gasping for air. So it was like all this carnage was going on, and then you got all these fish that were just like hundreds or thousands of them just flapping around. The scene was exceeding chaotic, and I couldn't wait to get home. I woke up in a flash and instantly was saying, 4 sore judgments. So it brought me to some scriptures, and the word of Yahweh came to me saying, Son of man, if a land shall sin against me by committing trespass, so thinking about this whole dream started with seeing that this was the land of America, then I will stretch out my hand upon it, and I will break its staff of bread, and will send forth famine upon it, and cut off from it man and beast. And though these 3 men should be in the midst of it, Noah, Daniel, and Job, They alone shall be delivered by their righteousness, says Yahweh. If again I bring evil beasts upon the land, and take vengeance upon it, and it be ruined, and there be no one to pass through for fear of the wild beasts, and if these 3 men should be in the midst of it, as I live, says Yahweh, neither sons nor daughters shall be saved, but these only shall be saved, and the land shall be destroyed. Or again, if I bring a sword upon the land, and say, let the sword grow through the land, and if I cut off from them man and beast, though these 3 men were in the midst of it, as I live, says Yahweh, they shall not deliver sons nor daughters, but they only shall be saved themselves. Or if again I send pestilence upon the land, and pour out my wrath upon it in blood, and to destroy from it off man and beast, and that Noah, Daniel, and Job be in the midst of it, as I live, says Yahweh, there shall be left neither sons nor daughters, only they by their righteousness shall deliver their souls. Thus says Yahweh, and if I even send upon Jerusalem my 4 sore judgments, sword, famine, evil beasts, and pestilence, to destroy from out of it man and beast, yet behold, there shall be men left in it, the escape thereof, who shall lead forth of it sons and daughters. Behold, they shall go forth to you, and ye shall see their ways and their thoughts, and ye shall mourn over the evils which I have brought upon Jerusalem, even all the evils which I have brought upon it. And they shall comfort you, because ye shall see their ways and their thoughts, and ye shall know that I have not done in vain all that I have done in it, says Yahweh. That's Ezekiel 14:13-23. Also, this is repeated in Revelation, of course. And when he had opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th beast say, come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death. And hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over the 4th part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So judgment is coming, right? So what side of the judgments will we be on? Obviously, if you're sitting here studying a Torah portion, you're probably on the right road. So praise Yah. Just continue to refine your walk, brothers and sisters. This is not a game. But if the wicked will turn from all his sin that he has committed, and keep all my statutes, and do that which is lawful and right, he shall surely live. He shall not die. All his transgressions that he has committed, they shall not be mentioned unto him. In his righteousness that he has done, he shall live. Have I any pleasure at all that the wicked should die, says Yahweh Elohim, and not that he should return from his ways and live? Ezekiel 18:21-23. The next day, the following day, I was led to these verses when I was just doing normal study, and these just popped out in front of me. Before the age of the righteous begins to grow, my judgment shall come upon the lawless peoples through the people of your seed who have been separated unto me. And in those days I will bring upon all creatures of the earth 10 plagues, through misfortune and disease and the sighing of their grief. This shall be brought upon the generations of men on account of the provocation and the corruption of mankind, whereby they provoke me. And then shall righteous men of your seed survive in the number which is kept secret by me, 144,000. And they will hasten the coming of the glory of my name to the place prepared beforehand for them, which you saw devastated in the picture. And they shall live and be established by sacrifices of righteousness in the age of the righteous. They shall rejoice in me continually, and receive those who return to me in repentance. For great shall be the inner torment of those who have despitefully used them in this world, as they observe the honor placed upon my own in the day of glory. That's the Apocalypse of Abraham 57. Now, skipping 2 more chapters, check this out. And he said to me, what your heart desired I will tell you, because you have sought to see the 10 plagues which I have prepared for the godless nations, and which have been predetermined at the passing over of the 12th hour of the age of the earth. Hear therefore what I divulge, and so shall it come to pass. The first is the distress of pain of sickness. Right? What's going on right now? At first we thought it was a hoax, but now we realize there's people actually getting sick. The second, the conflagration of many cities. What's that? That's fires. The third, the destruction and pestilence of animals dying. The fourth, well, this is probably what's coming, hunger of the whole world and its people. And that could be a hunger for the truth. It could be a hunger of the true bread of heaven. I don't know, but it could be just very literal, and people are just going to go hungry. The fifth, by destruction among its rulers, which we know that the people that rule this world want order out of chaos, so they have to create the chaos, so they have to destroy, right? By earthquake and by the sword. The sixth, by a multiplication of hail and snow. The seventh, Wild beasts will be their graves. So these wild beasts are going to kill people. The 8th, hunger and pestilence will alternate with destruction. The 9th, punishment by the sword and flight and distress. The 10th, thunder and voices and destructive earthquake. So just wanted to share that with you. Thought it was kind of, it was share-worthy. So what we were talking about there, of course, this is kind of, he's talking about these judgments. They shall be burnt with hunger and devour with burning heat and with bitter destruction. I will also send the teeth of beasts upon them with the poison of serpents of the dust. The sword without, the terror within shall we already read that. Okay, verse 26. I said, I would scatter them into corners. I would make them make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy, lest their adversaries should behave themselves strangely, and lest they should say, our hand is high, and Yahweh has not done all this. The Septuagint reads a little differently. Doesn't read like he's afraid of the enemy. Verses 28 and 29, for they are a nation void of counsel, neither is there any understanding in them. Oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would consider their latter end. What is the wisdom? Deuteronomy 4, 1-6. Now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that you may live and go in and possess the land which Yahweh Elohim of your fathers gives you. You shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish aught from it, that you may keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim which I command you. That your eyes have seen what Yahweh did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that followed Baal Peor, Yahweh your Elohim has destroyed them from among you. But you that did cleave unto Yahweh your Elohim are alive, every one of you this day. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my Elohim commanded me, that you should do so in the land whither you go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this is a great nation, is wise and understanding people. That's wisdom. So think about this. Think about the mark of the beast. Revelation 13:16-18. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, say he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600, 6. Let me ask you a question. Do you think the Most High is going to require wisdom and understanding in like gematria, or understanding in, you've got to like watch doctors and talk about doctors saying that a certain thing changes DNA or whatever? Is that the kind of wisdom that we have to search after? Or do you think that to understand the mark of the beast, you have to have wisdom in the Torah? Just take a wild guess, right? Proverbs 2, 1-10. My son, if you will receive my words and hide my commandments with you, so that you incline your ear unto wisdom and apply your heart to understanding, yea, if you cry after knowledge and lift up your voice for understanding, if you seek her as silver and search for her as hid treasures, then you shall understand the fear of Yahweh and find the knowledge of Elohim. For Yahweh gives wisdom, right? Not anything unscriptural is not going to give you wisdom about what the mark of the beast is. Only his truth, only his Torah will. Out of his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. He lays up sound wisdom for the righteous. He is a buckler to them that walk uprightly. He keeps the paths of judgment and preserves the way of his saints. Then shall you understand righteousness and judgment and equity, yea, every good path, when wisdom enters into your heart and knowledge is pleasant unto your soul. Hallelujah. Oh, that they were wise, and they understood this, they would consider their latter end. How should one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight, except their rock had sold them, and Yahweh had shut them up? For their rock is not as our rock, even our enemies themselves being judges. For their vine is the vine of Sodom, and the fields of Amorah. Their grapes are the grapes of gall, for their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the poison of dragons, and the cruel venom of asps. Is not this laid up and stored with me, and sealed up among my treasures? Stop right there. So let's talk about this vine, the vine of Sodom. What does that mean? Right? Matthew 13, 24 through 30, right? So again, just like another parable of plants. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened to a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So you can't tell the difference until the fruit starts showing. Remember that whole thing with the planting of the tree and the 3 years of uncircumcised fruit, then the 4th year. And it's interesting that this last year has been the big exodus of people from the truth and just leaving, just gone. The fruit started showing and they're out. So John 15. So speaking specifically about vines, Messiah says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. He's the gardener. Every branch in me that bears not fruit, so if you're not going to bear fruit of the Torah in the way he commanded us to do so, the way Messiah came and taught the true way of keeping Torah, not the Pharisee way, he's going to take it away, right? And every branch that bears fruit, he purges it, that it may bring more fruit. What happens when you purge a plant? It's like you're humbling the plant, right? So that's why you bring forth fruit, and it's like challenge after challenge, right? But you get stronger each time. It's just like the winds, right? Winds are like these testing. Like you ever heard of the term the winds of testing? Well, what happens? Let's take two plants, right? Let's take we'll have plant A that's maybe in my neighborhood and plant B that's in your neighborhood. Plant A in my neighborhood, it grows up. It's never windy at all. Just nice and happy growing up. Never windy. Plant B in your neighborhood, it's windy all the time, but the plant keeps growing up, and it's just growing up in the wind, right? What plant is going to be stronger? Plant B, right? So when that heavy wind comes, let's say that the plant B only got moderate wind, right? But enough. But plant A got no wind. So let's say that big storm comes through. Plant A is dead. It's uprooted. It's dead. Plant B can more likely withstand that storm because it withstood the winds of testing, right? So that's part of him purging us, giving us the hot winds of testing. That's why for a lot of us, since we came into Torah, we've got this peace of mind that we've never had in our lives before. In a lot of cases, our lives got a little harder, but we're realizing that we're getting a little stronger too, and it's not that big of a deal. Now you are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine, no more can you, except you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He that abides in me, and I in him, the same brings forth much fruit. For without me you can do nothing. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch and is withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. Why are we stopping at verse 6? What was I thinking? Because he tells you what the fruit is. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, you shall ask what you will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, that you bear much fruit. So you should be my disciples. You're like, okay, what's the fruit? Sure, the Torah, the Old Testament says this, but what does Messiah say? As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Continue in my love. If you keep my commandments, you shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandment and abide in his love. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. Blessed are they that thirst and hunger after righteousness, because they will be filled. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. Okay. Verse 35, to me belongs vengeance and recompense. Their foot shall slide in due time. So if someone wants to attack you, whatever, let them have it. Let them go at it. Messiah will recompense and repay. Forgive. Even if they haven't even asked for it, just give it to them. Forgive them in your heart. Why? For the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things that shall come upon them make haste. For Yahweh shall judge his people, and sigh for his servants, when he sees that their power is gone, and there is none shut up or left. And he shall say, Where are their Elohim, their rock in whom they trusted, which did eat the fat of their sacrifices and drink the wine of their drink offerings? Let them rise up and help you and be your protection. See now that I, even I, am He, and there is no Elohim with me. I kill, and I make alive. I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. And it hurts sometimes. His wounding hurts. But when He heals you, you're stronger. That wind of testing hurts. Hosea 6, 1-2. Come, let us return to Yahweh, for He has torn, and He will heal us. He has smitten, and He will bind us up. After 2 days He will revive us, and the third day He will raise us up, and we shall live in His sight. This is a one that's really near and dear to me, because ever since repenting, I've had some serious pain in my body, and it hurts, right? And I was like, I wondered why. And then I read this verse, and like everything clicked. Jeremiah 30, 11-15. For I am with you, says Yahweh, to save you. Though I make a full end of all nations, whither I have scattered you, yet I will not make a full end of you. But I will correct you in measure, and will not leave you altogether unpunished. So just because we're forgiven doesn't mean that we go without punishment. For thus says Yahweh, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. There is none to plead your cause, that you may be bound up. You have no healing medicines. All your lovers have forgotten you. They seek you not. For I have wounded you with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one. Why? For the multitude of your iniquity, because your sins were increased. Why do you cry for your affliction? Your sorrow is incurable for the multitude of your iniquity, because your sins were increased. I have done these things unto you, right? So Yah's like, I've done that to you. I've put you in that sick bed. I've made your legs feeble. I've withered up your hand, right? I've caused that with this or that for your chastening. Hebrews 12, 5-11. And you have forgotten the exhortation which speaks unto you as unto children. My son, despise you not the chastening of Yahweh, nor faint when you are rebuked of him. For whom Yahweh loves, he chastens, and scourges every son whom he receives. If you endure chastening, Elohim deals with you as sons. For what son is he whom the Father chastens not? But if you be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then you are bastards, and not sons. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh, which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits, and live? For they verily for a few days chastened us after their own pleasure, but he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness. Now, no hot winds, no chastening for the present seems to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them exercised thereby. And this is why David could sing in his Psalms gladly. Psalm 119:71, it is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn your statutes. And that's how we should look at correction in our lives, as a blessing. Verse 44, I lift up my hand to heaven and say, I live forever. If I whet my glittering sword and take my hold on judgment, I will render vengeance to my enemies and will reward them that hate me. What's actually going on here? Kind of interesting. Actually, I want to look at the Septuagint as well. Deuteronomy 32. What verse was that? 41. 40, actually. For I will lift up my hand to heaven and swear by my right hand, and will say, I live forever. The Targum says something really interesting here that I need to show you. Yeah, here we go. Check this out. Check this out, right? And you'll see actually you'll see in Revelation, this is actually Messiah standing up. Look what it says in the Targums. When the word of Yahweh shall reveal himself to redeem his people, he will say to the nations, behold now, I am he who am and was and will be. Let me ask you a question. Do you think Jewish rabbis added this into the Torah? There's no way. They took this out of the Torah. Let me read that again. When the word of Yahweh shall reveal himself to redeem his people, he will say to all the nations, behold now, I am he who am and was and will be, and there is no other Elohim beside me. I, in my word, kill and make alive. I smite the people in Beth Israel, and I will heal them at the end of the days, and there will be none who can deliver from my hand. Woo! Awesome stuff. Right? I have lifted up my hand with an oath to heaven, and I have said, as I exist, I will not abolish my oath forever. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Here, we'll see this. And we'll see that this is Messiah coming down. In Revelation, it makes it clear. People will be like, no way, because it says he's an angel. But remember, the word angel in Hebrew is messenger. Messenger. He's the messenger from Yah. He is the messenger of Yah. Right? Just like he's the angel of Yah. He's not like one of the lower class angels or anything. I'm not degrading him, but he is an Elohim. He is an angel of Yah. So check this out. Here, it's undeniable that this description right here is talking about Messiah. And here's the scene where we just read, right? I lift up my hand to heaven, right? We'll see that here and in Daniel. I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head. Okay, probably not your average angel here. And his face was as were the sun, and his feet pillars of fire. So even to this point, you can still maybe even be like, well, maybe one of the archangels, maybe one of like the high seraphims, cherubims, maybe. However, all these descriptors are for Messiah. Now here's the undeniable one. And he had in his hand a little book open. And he sat on his right foot upon the sea and his left foot upon the earth. So this is Messiah with the open book that was only able to be given to the Lamb. And cried with a loud voice as when a lion roars. Is that Messiah? And when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. And when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, seal up those things which the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not. And the angel which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hand to heaven, right, and swear by him that lives forever and ever, who created heaven and the things that are in, and in the earth and the things that are in there, and the sea and the things which are therein, and that there shall be time no longer. Why? Because it is time for vengeance. There's no more time. The time's over. Your time to repent, all those things are over. People have been separated. You're either here or you're there. You're either in or you're out. You're either in the kingdom or you're out. Time no longer. You see the same thing in Daniel 12. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be till the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, and he held up his right hand and his left hand to heaven, and he sware by him that lives forever, that it shall be for a time, an appointed time, appointed times, and a half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. Daniel version is a little different. What was that, 5-7? Yeah. And I, Daniel, saw, and behold, 2 others stood, one on the other side of the... Actually, that's the same. And I heard the man clothed in linen, who was over the water of the river, and he lifted up his right hand and his left hand to heaven, and swore by him that lives forever, that it should be for a appointed time, of appointed times, and a half. When the dispersion is ended, they shall know all these things. I think the dispersion is being close to being ended right now. Pretty interesting. So anyways, that is that scene right here in a couple other passages, this lifting up the hand to heaven. For if I whet my glittering sword and take hold on judgment, I will render vengeance to my enemies, and I will reward them that hate me. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, and that with the blood of the slain of the captives from the beginning of the revenges upon the enemy. So who are his arrows? Who is his sword? Who is his hammer that he breaks in pieces the whole earth? Zechariah 9:13-15. When I have bent Judah for me, filled the bow with Ephraim, and raised up thy sons, O Zion, against thy sons, O Greece, the Targum says nations, and made thee as the sword of a mighty man. So Judah and Ephraim, so the 2 houses, are going to be the sword of Yahweh. And Yahweh shall be seen over them, and his arrow shall go forth as the lightning, and Yahweh shall blow the shofar, right? So Yom Teruah. Probably going to be a lot louder than that. And shall go with the whirlwinds of the south, and Yahweh Sabaoth shall defend them, and they shall devour and subdue with sling stones, and they shall drink, and they shall make noise, Yom Teruah, as through wine, and they shall be filled with bowls, and as the corners of the altar. So that's his sword and his arrows. Verse 43, rejoice, O ye nations, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it says something pretty different. It says, where is it? It says, rejoice, you heavens, with his people, which actually makes a little more sense because we see that actually repeated in Revelation. We'll read in just a second. Rejoice, O heaven, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants and will render vengeance to his adversaries and will be merciful unto his land and to his people. Because when he comes with vengeance, the nations are not going to rejoice. They're going to be in fear. And you'll see that here. Revelation 12:10 through 12. And I heard a loud voice in heaven, saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our Elohim and the power of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Elohim day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and you that dwell in them. Woe to the nations, right, to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knows that he has but a short time. All right, almost done. Verse 44, and Moshe came and spoke, so that was the end of the song. And Moshe came and spoke all the words of this song in the ears of the people, he and Husha, that's where we get Yahusha from, son of Nun. And Moshe made an end of speaking all these words to all Yasharel. And he said unto them, set your hearts unto all the words which I testify among you this day, which ye shall command your children to guard to do, all the words of this Torah. For it's not a vain thing for you to do, because it's your life, and through this ye shall prolong your days in the land, whether you go over the Yarden to possess it. So this is where it says that Torah is life. This is part of the threefold parable or simile or saying that Messiah, what's the word I'm actually looking for? Idiom. This is the idiom that Yahushua spoke when he says that I am the way, the truth, and the life. This is the life portion right here. He came to declare that he's the word, he's the Torah. He said, I'm the Torah. Don't you recognize me by my works? When he says, I am the way, the truth, and life, Psalm 119:1, blessed are the undefiled in the way who walk in the Torah of Yahweh. So the way is the Torah. Psalm 119:142, thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy Torah is the truth. Torah is the truth. And then Proverbs 13:14, the Torah of the wise is a fountain of life to depart from the snares of death. And of course, what we just read here, right? The Torah, right? All the words of this Torah, for it is not a vain thing for you, because it is your life. The Torah is your life. The keeping of such is your life. Messiah is your life. Messiah is the Torah. All right, we're going to finish up here. We're going to read 48 through 52 and finish up. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe that selfsame day, saying, get you up into this Mount Abarim, unto Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, that is over against Jericho, and behold, the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Yasharel for a possession. And die in the mount, whither you go up, and be gathered unto your people, as Aharon your brother died in Mount Hor, and was gathered unto his people. Because you transgressed against me among the children of Yasharel at the waters of Meribah, Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin, because ye sanctified me not in the midst of the children of Yasharel, yet you shall see the land before you, but you shall not go thither unto the land which I shall give the children of Yasharel. So, awesome, a lot of information here on this Torah portion. I pray that it was truly a blessing for you. We're going to do a couple things. We're going to pray first and foremost. Probably going to blow the shofar a little more. We're going to do a couple songs, and I'm going to cut this off on the recording later, but I'm going to jump on and just hang out with the chat a little bit, because I haven't hung out with the chat in quite some time. But anyways, let's pray. Heavenly Father, Yahweh, we come before you and we bless you again for another opportunity to study your word. Father, we pray that you allow us to gather like this on this platform until the very last day, Father, that we can come together and to study your word, Father, with all of our heart, that we may, that you may garden us, Father. You may prune us. You may purge us, Father, that we may bring forth more fruit, the fruit you desire, Father, for we want to do what's right in your sight. We want to please you. We want to love on you, Father, with our words and with our actions, Father, with all of our heart. We thank you for Messiah Yahushua. We know that nothing is possible without the blood of Messiah Yahushua, whom you sent for us, and we're so thankful, Father. We're so thankful for Yom Teruah, because we know that day will be a day of joy for your righteous people, and a day of terror for the rest of the nations, Father. Guide your people, Father. Watch us as the apple of your eye, as you did in time past, Father. Come and gather your fruit. Come and gather your people. We ask in Yahushua's name, and we say Shabbat Shalom to you, and Amen, and Amen. Brothers and sisters, Shabbat Shalom to you. We're going to do a couple songs, and then after a couple songs, I'm going to jump on here and hang out with the chat for a little bit. So, Shabbat Shalom. See you in a few minutes. But before we do that, let's do another shofar. I love the shofar. All right, let's what song? We're gonna do a couple songs. Let's do Riding on a Cherubim.
I call to thee, Master of my heart and of my destiny. Set me free, protect me from the snare of all my enemies. Hear my plea, one above enthroned upon eternity. You can see as I journey through death's darkened valley. Rise up now and make the wicked flee from me. Save me from the time of trouble that they bring. Riding on the cherubim, he will cleanse the land of sin. Lightnings flash from east to west. He has come for those he left. Yah's a mighty man of war. Those who fear him he restores. Wicked now died just his word when he comes with his reward. Righteous warriors of the word, light your candles, grab your swords, start the fight, stand in the night, destroy the darkness with his light. I call to thee, Master of my heart and of my destiny. Set me free, protect me from the snare of all my enemies. Hear my plea, one above enthroned upon eternity. You can see as I journey through death's darkened valley. Rise up now and make the wicked flee from me. Save me from the time of trouble that they bring. Rise up now and make the wicked flee from me. Save me from the time of trouble that they bring. Riding on the cherubim, he will cleanse the land of sin. Lightnings flash from east to west. He has come for those he left. Riding on the cherubim, he will cleanse the land of sin. Lightnings flash from east to west. He has come for those he left. Righteous warriors of the word, light your candles, grab your swords, start the fight, stand in the night, destroy the darkness with Yahuwah ve'yishmerecha. Ya'er Yahuwah panav lecha ve'chuneka. Yisa Yahuwah panav lecha ve'yaseh lecha shalom. Yisa Yahuwah panav lecha ve'yaseh lecha shalom. Ve'yaseh lecha shalom. Ve'yaseh lecha shalom. Yahuwah bless you and keep you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and be gracious